Hey everyone, welcome back to another BITREP. With us today, got something a bit different. So myself, Stan Lemin, one of the hosts of 40k Frontiers, looking to do some recorded gameplay footage and give some commentary. And I know, look out for my own games and local games in the current Australian meta. Some good old down under 40k goodness. So with us today, we've got a bit of a unique matchup in terms of Sisters of Battle. Bloody Rose, never heard that one before, versus some Black Legion, and piloted by my mate Joe. So go through the list. So Sisters of Battle, Bloody Rose, relatively traditional build in the sense that it's Morvenval, Celestine, Canoness with Word of the Emperor, and Blazing Ire for advance and charge. Repentia Superior to send some 3 lots of 8 Repentia flying up the board. Got Dogmata, knows an additional him. Miracle Dice bonus with Beacon of Faith. Then we have 3 lots of 5 Battle Sisters, all bare bones basic ladies. Then we have 2 lots of 8 Zephyrim, both of them with the banners for reroll charges. 1 lot of 7 Zephyrim with no banner at all. 2 lots of 5 Rets, so both with cherubs just to get an extra shot in. And then last but not least, the Humble Rhino. And obviously 5 Celestine Sacrifices as well. Can't forget them. So my mate Joe's got the Disco Lord and Hellstaker, so with the Flames of Spite upgrade, so has a wound cap in the shooting melee phase, and the additional attacks once per game. Master Possession with Mutated Invigoration, Pact of Flesh, Mark of Slaanesh, and the Liber Hereticus Relic, so can cast an additional spell. Sorcerer and Terminator with a upgrade Relic for Veilbreaker plate to get that deep strike 9 inches away goodness and choosing another unit to come along with him. Got Warptime and Death Hex as well. Then it's got 2 lots of 10 Cultists, 1 lot of 5 Legionnaires, all bare bones. Then we got the very unique, never taken before, 1 lot of 10 Terminators with Black Rune of Damnation, so the -1 to wound, with Mark of Slaanesh. We got 1 lot of 5 Terminators with Mark of Slaanesh. And we have a lot of 10 Chosen with Mark of Slaanesh, just bare bones for the Chosen. Terminators have a accoutrement of upgrades, cursed weapons, some Reaper auto cannons, Power Fist, and all that goodness. Then we have a Master Executions with Mark of Slaanesh, 1 lot of 5 Havocs with 4 Las Cannons, and then last but not least, the granddaddy himself, Abaddon the Despoiler. Can't leave home without him. Of course, if you're playing Black Legion, you've got to take Abaddon, right? So, starting off, I went first. My secondaries are Leap of Faith, Defend the Shrine, and Assassination. So, obviously, having taken Defend the Shrine on Mission 12, so tear down their icons, go and plant some bombs. My Defend the Shrine will be this top left objective. Nice and simple. I mean, keep it easy. The game plan for me right now is just, take it nice and easy, get things moving. I've played against this Black Legion matchup a couple of times, and I recognize that 10-man Terminator brick's pretty hard to deal with. This is my first game with Sisters. I've played against them before with the Terminator Warrior spam. I really want to eliminate all the existential threats. Everything's existential threat with Black Legion, but I want to eliminate all the sort of side threats, all the little chaff stuff. As much as possible, deny some points, deny primary, and then see how we go. And I can trade up pretty well. So I'm taking Leap of Faith, score points for using Miracle Dice. Super easy to do. Defend the Shrine, where I'll hold my top left objective, relatively safe with whatever stuff goes on there. I have enough OBSEC to steal stuff off, and Joe doesn't really have too much. And then Assassination. Not really any other secondaries we really want to take in this. And look, Joe has a bunch of characters. Going to try and score points for doing that. Be silly not to. And then Joe's taken Raise the Banners High, the Long War, so score points for killing stuff off objectives or kill stuff altogether. I have like 16, 17 units, so Joe's going to kill stuff no matter what. And then behind the enemy lines. And noteworthy, so the 5-man Terminator brick is actually up in the sky right now. So right now, just really want to make sure I'm screening out my backfield, screening out my areas, and avoiding a potential deep strike, So just prepare for that. And trying to deny behind enemy lines as long as possible. So as long as I'm not giving up too many valuable resources for it. Heading into my turn 1, so just playing around, moving some stuff up. So I've got my Zephyrim down the bottom here on screen, just getting them ready. I've made sure to stay outside the Chosen range in case they want to go into Red Corsairs and get advance and charge. So Black Legion have a 1 CP strat to change into any Doctrine once per game. So I've buffed my Zephyrim up there, just sort of put them there to put some pressure on. I know I can go into some cultists there and clean them up after the objective. But also just put some forward pressure and look to see if there's anything maybe he wants to put in the middle. just put some forward pressure and get the ball rolling, and especially also maybe deny a banner being put on this objective down here. So nice and easy. My turn's pretty simple, so just get my Defend the Shrine. I don't get any points of Leap of Faith, so score 3 points of Defend the Shrine, and we head into Joe's turn, so where he's about to get things moving. So yeah, and like I'm sort of setting up myself for turn 2 and beyond. So I want to see what Joe does, see how he reacts, and go from there. I definitely would make a mistake here as well. So in terms of the Zephyrim, I could have probably definitely put them in a better position. As you'll sort of see later on, I get punished a little bit with some shooting from the Terminators and the Havocs. They draw some line of sight to them, which I could have avoided if I positioned them a bit better, because this terrain piece right now, for those unaware, so generally here in Australia, you play sort of to the base, and so where you see a big base down the bottom, if you're touching it, that's when you draw true line of sight to. So this set here is mainly the Uprising Adelaide terrain set, so it's relatively similar to UKTC set in terms of there's some big L's and big ruins which have bases and which have windows, so you can touch them and start seeing through stuff. And some of them, like this one on the left here, has a relatively large base, so that if you want to see through it, you're going to be seen through. You're going to be seen, and it's a relatively large footprint. And sisters, they're very soft. I don't want to be touched or seen as much as possible, and I want to be the one punching, not the one being punched in the face. I mean, well, that's like most people, right? So, but especially with sisters, they're only 1 wound bodies, 3 up save at base at best. I mean, Repentia don't have much at all, so. And I just want to really avoid the exposing things where I can. So Joe's doing a good job here. So he's just moving positions up and getting ready to get some shots off into Zephyrim on whatever he can see. Morvaval is safely protected behind this ruin, just for you those who are unaware. So obviously this is being shown on the top floor, but they're all on the bottom floor. Just wanted to put these up there for your viewing pleasure in terms of up here. And Morvaval is safely protected with Lookout Sir, so I don't have to stress about her getting shot by anything right now. Made sure to check my angles for that. But I definitely do mess up a little bit here. So the Zephyrim are definitely able to be seen by some Terminators, which I really could have avoided if I was better at the game. But look, that's what we learn. That's why we get practice games in. And the Havocs are also able to move out and shoot some things as well. So definitely could have avoided that. But look, it is what it is. Thankfully enough, I don't suffer too badly in terms of shooting. I lose a bunch of my units. I lose, I think, 4 of my Zephyrim. So 4 of my 7-person Zephyrim units. So not too bad, but I definitely something that could have been avoided, full stop, or limited per se. Only get one of them maybe to shoot instead of all of them. So yeah, just rolling my saves right here. And Joe also raises the banner on this bottom objective down below. So noted by this yellow tokens. So nice and easy to see. And then I believe has a character of the Legionnaires back there also raise up their banners. Right now, sort of just positioning, I see that Joe is slowly moving up. He's got his Disco Lord down here. He's got his 10 Chosen down there. Abaddon's just there waiting. Got the 10 Terminates right here, the 5 Havocs there. Got the Unit 5 Legionnaires down there, and the Master of Possession. There we go. Master of Possession is just back there as well. And then the Sorcerer and Master of Executioners is just over there as well. So he's holding back a little bit, just taking his time. He's got the firepower to sort of deal with some stuff, and I don't have to stress too badly. So just let him have his go and see how we go. And we start measuring. So heading into my turn 2. So yeah, heading into my turn 2. So I score 8 on primary, so I hold my 2 objectives. Nice and easy. I don't have to do too much. And right now, so I lost some Zephyrim. Bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Obviously notable, I got the 6 and a 5 of Miracle Ice that I can use army-wide, which is pretty nice. Right now, my focus is sort of dealing with this bottom area. The Terminators aren't in a threatening position. He can't reach me, even if he tries to go advance and charge. I'm really safe, and if he wants to advance into his middle objective, then I can counterpunch with a Repentia from these 2 angles at least, and really put her on them. So And I have the fight last and abilities to mitigate the fight first where needs be. So right now we're playing a bit of a chicken, just sort of waiting. Right here I see so there's 2 cultist units over here. So there's one on the left side, one on the right side. And that's his only obsec, and he's got the Chosen here as well. So, excuse me. I recognize here, so I sort of take a bit of a risk play. I sort of see, look, I've got 4 Zephyrim. They're pretty good. They've got a bit of a high volume amount of attacks, and they can pick up these cultists relatively easily. So my plan is right here is with the Rets, so they get the full buff from Veil to get rerolls, is with the Rets, and I can burn the Cherub, is go into the Chosen, eliminate as much as I can, and then the Zephyrim can charge 1 unit of cultists, or both units of cultists potentially with Miracle Dice, or depending on how shooting goes, just only need to charge 1 of them. And Veil will position herself, so with the 2d6 missile shots to get into 1 unit of the cultists, and the bolt pistol shots from the Zephyrim as well will hopefully pick up a bunch of the cultists, because they're pretty much t-shirt saves and not much damage is going to be had. And with the remaining attacks from the Zephyrim, I like to think I can deal with both cultists or get them down enough that if I remove all the obsec off there, I'll have maybe most likely more models potentially than the Chosen to take down a banner and steal an objective and steal some primary and just cause some headaches for Joe. So just taking it nice and easy, but I apply the obsec buffs down here to the Retributors. So just taking it nice and easy. I'm moving my Repenter up, just getting them ready in this corner with this Repenter Superior here. So that way I can launch out if needs be into the middle objective, or if I get enough good Miracle Dice, I can launch out 24 inches over this way. So just taking it nice and easy. I'm also setting up these Rets for a potential trap or a bait in that. So with the latest Bloody Rose supplement, they got a 1 CP shoot on death or 2 CP if they're Retributors. So nice way with the buffs with full rerolls for Rets. Maybe not the best I've experienced during testing, but maybe something to recognize is you can expose these Rets and then still threaten the shoot on death. And with the shoot on death, they can target any unit, which is fantastic. It doesn't have to be the unit that's shot at them. So something especially notable if I want to get around this Lookout Sir, like to shoot the Disco Lord, or if like Abaddon pops his head out, or something that's valuable like the Terminators pop their head out, I can go into them and expose. I can expose the Rets, and then if they get shot at, then I can shoot on death and maybe shoot at something that he doesn't want to lose, and it could be a pretty valuable trade for me. So definitely a bit of a high risk, high reward play, but look, in this game, I want to try to eliminate my threats as possible, and if I can then have more units to deal and slow things down, then fantastic. And look, if I can get score some assassinate, I'll be silly not to. So right now, Joe's just picking up some models. So Morven Vale shot into the cultists down here. Killed 6 of them. Very not well done. My Rets sort of whiffed. They only killed 3 Chosen. 3 of the 10 Chosen down there. So whiffed a little bit with full rerolls. But look, it is what it is. You never know. That's the luck of 40k sometimes. And then my other Zephyrim shooting into the cultists and taken down to 3 white cultists and 3 of the unpainted cultists, just so there's 2 squads. Just make the charge there. So I use the Miracle Dice 6 there just to guarantee the charge into both units. And I start allocating attacks. I've got 4 Zephyrim there. I was like, there's 3 in one squad and there's a full in the other squad. So I allocate 3 to the 10-man and the leader to the other wounded squad. And I take them all down to 1 cultist on that side. So bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And then the other squad then happily pick up the other cultist unit relatively easily. So also noteworthy, I spent 2 CP here to reroll hit rolls for the Zephyrim. So just to help guarantee it, I really wanted to make sure I can kill some stuff and make the charge. I should have positioned this much better so that I didn't lose as much Zephyrim, and that way it makes a trade a bit easier or guarantees things a bit more. Joe, unfortunately, he fails the morale there. It is what it is. Cultist, right? So, but I sadly don't do enough information. Don't do enough information. Don't do enough damage that I can't steal the point, but at least... at least I do remove some of the chaff. I remove 2/3 of his obstacle in the cultists, which is really helpful. And so now I can play around with the objectives and deal some damage. So end of the turn, I score Defend the Shrine, and I score 1 point for Leap of Faith. So nice and easy, getting a good start on the points and just going from there. Joe's turn 2. He pops the Veilbreaker plate, so to be able to reposition something, so similar to like Necrons or the T-Sun's Relic, so be able to pick the Sorcerer and the unit and deploy Deep Strike 9 inches away. And he puts the 10-man Black Moon Domination Terminators away from my Rhino and my Zephyrum and Celestine at the top here. So definitely threatening some work and damage up here. I've made sure over here the Repentia are relatively safe in terms of a line or angle from this, like, so in the way that the building is built. So he has to sort of draw a bit of a line this way to shoot them if he wants to shoot them. And this cannon nest right here is relatively safe due to Lookout's rule. So all good there. Joe moves up Abaddon up to the middle objective, really threatens him. The middle objective to threaten, I guess, my stuff moving forward. And starts just positioning stuff up, moves up the Havocs, moves up the Master of Possessions, moves up the Master of Executioners here into the middle. So really threatening that middle. Obviously, worthy Master Executioners has a 6-inch heroic into characters, but only into characters and like a 3-inch heroic normally. So with that position, he's able to establish some dominance and make sure I play him fair, right? So I don't do anything silly and don't get clapped, because that's the last thing I want to do. Fight first is a misery to try and play around with sisters. Obviously, got the fight on death with Repentia to help mitigate it, and then Angelic Sacrifice, which is like similar to the Blood Angel stratagem for people who aren't aware. Only can target a Celestine or Warlord that isn't a vehicle, and basically you can only make attacks against them. So I'm really need to try and mitigate them. Is my play, especially with Marcus Slaanesh, and really make sure my fight phase activations are correct. So, and also with the candidates with fight last, I can use that as a mitigator factor. Joe's casting some spells right now, so he's able to put +1 toughness and 5-up feeling pain, so delightful agonies up on this Terminator unit, really bulking them up and making them really hard to deal with. And then he also does a 1 CP strat to use in the command phase, and he chucks these Terminators into Iron Warriors, which allows for the turn off of reroll wounds. So really makes it really hard for me to deal damage to them, as we'll come to find out that, well, sisters rely on rerolls a lot. So with obviously Molten Files buff and rerolling wounds and hits for a unit, and like trying to get the buffs in terms of Rets, obviously reroll wounds, and Molten File has a 6-inch aura reroll ones to wound. And just denying those rerolls to wounds really, really hurts me, it turns out. So makes it pretty brutal. So definitely puts a hurt on me a little bit there and sort of denies me being able to do some stuff. But he tries to make the 9-inch charge into those ladies at the front. Okay, let's stop there. Onto shooting. So the Disco Lord shoots into these Rets down the bottom here, and I pop the 2 CP. So for me, with the Disco Lord having the wound phase cap of 3 wounds in the fighting phase, I want to risk it. I've got full rerolls in his Rets to shoot on death, and unfortunately I make none of them. But it's okay. He only is able to kill 4 of the Rets, so leaves 1 Multi-Melter alive. I think it was a worthwhile trade, but look, it is what it is. Sometimes the 4-ups are with you, sometimes they're not. If I'm able to kill a Disco Lord on the return fire, I feel pretty good, especially being within the D6+2 damage range. I'm able to really capitalize and take off this Disco Lord would be really helpful, get some assassination points, and it's just a pain to deal with, honestly. So maybe I didn't need to spend the 2 CP, would have been maybe more useful for a fight interruption with fights, but look, it is what it is. See how we go. Maybe something to consider for next time instead. So the Chosen then also up here, just obliterate the remaining Zephyrum when they get around to it. And we're just doing more shooting. So Joe forgot to, he talked about it before though, but he forgot to put the 5-man Terminators over here. So just allowed him to go back there and just chuck those in. That's not stress at all. Look, we're playing a practice game. It's an easy done. In the end, so he picks up the remaining Rets and she fails, so that's okay. Sometimes you don't make the 4-ups. It's all good. And then apologies. So as we talked about before, the Chosen going to charge into the Zephyrum and pick them up pretty easily. Don't have the CP to interrupt, and yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, and Joe fails a 9-inch charge up to here. With his shooting, he's able to kill the Rhino and get some stuff out. But I'm able to put 1 Battle Sister on the objective. It's just still for just over more than 9 inches away. I think it's like 10 inches or 10.5 inches away, roughly. So still, we'll score that point though. So all is fine there. And yeah. And yeah, we're just picking out the Zephyr from there. I mean, with 10 chosen, they're just gonna absolutely mince them pretty easily. So it's no point rolling it out. It's okay. And Joe scores some points there for Long War. So I believe he scores 2 points in return for a Long War. So he's able to kill the Rhino, kill the Rets, and kill the unit on the objective. So yeah, get some good stuff. Gets some good stuff indeed. And yeah, then heading into yep. And yeah, so get rolling my Miracles dice here about for my turn 3, just getting stuff ready. So I'm about to put the scores in. So I score 8 on primary, and currently have 7 points on secondaries. So with between Leap of Faith and Defender Shrine, so 6 points on Defender Shrine, there'll be 1 point on Leap of Faith so far. And Joe's got 8 on primary and 4 on secondary stream. So there'll be 2 points of banners and 2 points for the Long War. So right now heading to my turn 3. So interesting board state. So for me right now, I have to sort of dissect this puzzle. So I've got Abaddon here in the middle. I've got Master Executioners here, and I've got the 5 Terminators showing their threat, as well as the 10 Terminators right here. So I know he's got behind enemy lines. He's going to be pushing up towards me. And I've got a good amount of Miracle Dice here. So I've got a 6, 6, 5, and a 2, and then a 5 for the Dogmata. So which is normally just always used for advanced roll. And I'm just going to sort of dissect this. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. So the 10-man Terminator brick up the top there has got all the buffs in the world. It's got +1 toughness, which really is a good break point against me, because obviously Zephyr is strength 4 into toughness 4. Toughness, so now toughness 5. Terminators with -1 to wound, so it'll be winning on 6s, which is really, really annoying. So good break point there and really tough to deal with. But I need to deal with it in a sense. Like if I don't deal with something or try and minimize some of the damage, he's just going to walk through me pretty badly. And I, in the end, decide I need to full commit, and I have to go balls to the wall per se, for like a better phrase. And but there's only 5 Terminators here. I've got the Repentia here set up just to go onto the middle objective. I make some mistakes here in terms of positioning. So with Morven Vale, she's only got her 6-inch aura for giving out buffs. I think I mispositioned some stuff in terms of where I can give buffs to. So, and same with the Dogmata over here in terms of being able to give offset to something. Really, something Sisters players should know is really re-measuring and making sure you get your distances and auras correct. So, and with my Miracle Dice, I only have so many charges I can make, so I can use Miracle Dice in one phase. Also noteworthy, so this is my round 3. I have a unit of 8 Zephyr up in the sky still that has to come down and make the 9-inch charge. So, or positioned somewhere that they can be effective later in the game. So, my choices right now, and a bit of spoiler alert, so they're going to come over here and make the 9-inch charge over into the Legionnaires. So I know I'm going to be using my Miracle Dice there. I've got them set aside, and I have to make the most of whatever dice I have left to get some combats in and make some fight phase mitigation. So I know the Repentia, they can't really make the charge over here, which is a bit of a shame with the 4 rerolls. So with rerolls, so I'm not going to commit there. So I'm just going to go into these Terminators in the middle. With the advance and charge from the Repentia Superior, they can pretty easily make that charge with a 3d6, and they get the additional second right for a +1 advance and +1 charge. So just get that extra bit of mitigation, that extra bit of distance, and make things easy. So, and then I know these Repentia, they end up going up here, and this Canoness comes up here with the Word of the Emperor Fight Last Relic, or Fight Last Aura, sorry. I'm able to sort of turn off that Marcus Slaanesh interrupt here, at least, or the free interrupt, and at least force Joe to spend CP to interrupt if he wants to interrupt. Also, notably, Black Legion have like a devout push equivalent sort of thing, so they have multiple ways of interrupting. So I've just got to mitigate that, make sure I play my cards correct, and really get this fight phase order correct. So something I really don't account for, and we sort of discussed a bit before, is I put the more than vile buff into these rets. My theory was actually with the rets, even though these I guess turn off wound rolls, I really wanted to just get some extra damage into them. I know I can get within range to get D6 plus 2 damage, and with enough volume of shots, I feel like I can get through some of these Terminators. I have to get through them when I can, and because melee isn't going to be enough, so even though I'll send the Repentia, the 8-man Zephyr squad, and the Celestine up into these, you just never know. It's just never enough. It's always good to have some extra mitigation. And so I end up giving the buffs here and shooting into them. In hindsight, it's a bit of a mistake. I mean, I'm only able to do 3 damage to the Terminators after the feline pains are taken. So not the best choice in the world, and sort of live to regret it. Maybe in hindsight, I really could have done a different play in terms of shooting go down here into Disco Lord, because the phase cap is only during the combat phase. So score some assassination points, even though I'm not going to get the D6 plus 2 damage range. These rets can stay relatively safe here. They can just move a bit, maybe get in Vile range, and Vile and the rets can shoot the Disco Lord, probably with full rerolls, and obviously no ways to turning off rerolls for the Disco Lord, to my knowledge off the top of my head. I can sort of get some good damage in, and then if I need to, I can also later in the game send the Repentia in or the More Than Vile in to pick up the Disco Lord. So just definitely something I should have considered in hindsight, but look, it is what it is. You learn from these games. So yeah. And yeah, as you can see here, so I send the Repentia in here. In the middle, they're going to go after these Terminators in the middle. Just making sure also to stay outside the heroic intervention range of Abaddon and the Master of Executioners. These Repentia have also gone up over here. They've got a bit of a charge to make, obviously noting the Forest is there. This is Canoness here with the Fight Last Aura is there. Celestine is there, and another 8-man Zephyr squad is there. And then just off to the right on the screen, that 8-person Zephyr squad that was in Deep Strike has just arrived 9 inches away from the Legionnaires. So I want to target these Legionnaires first. I feel like I have a better shot killing the Legionnaires and taking the objective and the banner away from him. And then his shooting phase, like 4 las cannons, like sometimes I whiff and I can make a miracle dice save. And then the combat's not going to be as bad as a bunch of bolt guns are. So that's my theory and thought behind it. So, and also I guess the Havocs are a bit closer in the sense that if I push forward beyond that, then I can really capitalize on things. So I'm just rolling some shooting here. I'm only able to do, as I said, in the end, 3 damage to the Terminators. I mean, look, Terminators with Delightful Agonies, the Fire, Feeling Pain, and all the buffs, they are a pain to deal with. So look, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, and definitely will try and avoid making that next time. So that's okay. Look, it's 40k. It's a practice game. What more can you ask for? So yeah. And then also it's worth noting, so obviously these Chosen are down here in the bottom right. So I said it is Repentia just in case if they want to deal with the Disco Lord, or if they can deal with the Disco Lord later on, if I do enough damage to him doing some other stuff, or they set up here so that I can make, if I get the right Miracle Dice, a 24-inch move or charge up to them and really contest that objective. So just setting these Repentia up, and their Repentia Superior is just there. So right here, just making some charge rolls, so making some big ones, getting Celestine up there. And biggest point here is making sure Celestine is tied all up into the Terminators and basing them all, so that when they way, as a form of fight phase mitigation, I can use Angelic Sacrifice, which is a units. Enemy units can only target that character unit if they are able to with engagement range. So when they make fights, they can only target them. And so what I'm doing here is just making sure Celestine and her Gemini are touching as much Terminators as possible, spreading out as much as possible. And then my units, so my Zephyr and my Repentia and my Canoness are just only touching a little bits and bobs, and where possible, only touching things which are in engagement range of Celestine and her Gemini. So that way they can't be hit or swung at when or when Joe decides to interrupt. So just making sure there. I've also saved these Miracle Dice over here on the bottom, just to use that for the Zephyr to go into those 5 Legionnaires and take down that banner and really make that work. So yeah, and I'm thankful enough to get the charges I need. I'm able to get the Repentia into the Termies, Zephyr into the Termies, Celestine, Termies, and the Cannoness into Terminators. So fight phase is going well. I've been able to get things right, and now it's about basically executing the game plan. So I end up piling in and making sure I get as much. They make the charge in, but I just only. So when we recorded this game, we still had a 2-inch engage range rule, and normally we don't play with it, but it was worthwhile. I think we had a couple of upcoming tournaments which we're going to use the engagement range rule, so just wanted to play around with it, get that used. So I just wanted to make sure when I make the charge, just stay as much on the objective as possible, and if I wanted to consolidate into the Havocs, I end up not doing it because it's just too much damage, but just something to consider and make the most of. So yeah, just right now, rolling out the Repentia damage into the Terminators. They're able to do enough damage, more than enough damage to pick up the 5-person Terminator squad, and that I consolidate onto the objective with OBSEC and enough bodies that I can still deny Joe some primary points there, so it was good. Also, just be a bit of a pain in terms of giving something to, I guess, shoot into, or something that Joe has to focus on. So, but also just denying primary, or making sure Joe doesn't get a 12 on primary for his next turn. So Joe then decides to interrupt with the Terminators, and I've used the Angelic Sacrifice strat so that Celestine can only be targeted by a majority of things, and I think then 2 Terminators are able to hit into the Repentia. I popped 2 CP fight on death the Repentia, but none are able to attack into the Zephyrin, which was good. So, so then Joe starts rolling out his attacks. He's able to pretty convincingly and pretty easily kill Celestine, and then in return, he's only able to kill 4 Repentia with the other 2 Terminators. So, just so rolling all that out right now. All the damage and all the good stuff. The Repentia and everything in combined. So Celestine and her Gemini die. The Repentia that die and the Zephyrin that attack. I only end up killing a couple of Terminators. I believe it's 5 by the end. So after everything that happened, so I'm only able to kill 5 Terminators despite all the buffs. I'm pretty sure there was a bunch of 1 CP 6s to hit auto wound and other good stuff on there, but just able not to do enough. So it is what it is. That 10-man Terminator brick with Black Rune Domination is a pain to deal with. So look, we learn from it, but we're able to score points. And then at the end of the phase, thankfully, Celestine's able to get back up. I roll a 2+. Thankfully, it is what it is. Just try and mitigate the things right now. So I'm able to sort of eliminate the big threats and sort of just make the big chops and downs of the big 10-man Terminator brick, because that's a pain to deal with, and especially for sisters. So I'm able to do a bunch of damage, tie some things up, and just clog this area up a lot as well. Also worthwhile noting, so now that Joe's committed, he's dropped his 5-person Terminator squad. He has to slug his way across the board to get into the to get behind enemy lines. So especially on this board in which the deployment zone is all across the middle like this, with tear down our icons, he definitely has to come to me a lot. So if I'm able to sort of clog things up and deny him getting into my area, I feel all right, or pretty good. So just clogging things up, just getting a bunch of stuff in the middle, and then 2 CP fight on death for Repentia. Not many Terminators want that stuff. So and you can't apply the buffs all the time. So just trying to get some roadblocks in the way and try and mitigate some things where and when possible. So yeah. And just rolling out some attacks. I think just Terminators right now, just taking some damage. That's right. So Joe was pretty hot on all these rolls, just able to, whatever reason, even though it's 4 damage with obviously 2 Repentia attacks, he just rolls 2 5-ups in that 4-person block. It's just frustrating. It just then causes another 2 damage, another 2 damage to try and go through. So that's all right. Look, that's 40k sometimes, but so only able to kill a couple of Terminators. So yeah, there we go. As we see, so I'm only able to kill 5 Terminators, I think, in the end, between all the Repentia attacks and all the buffs and all that jazz. So, but look, that is what it is. And the Terminators really convincingly kill Celestine and the Gemini, and yeah. And then yeah, so here we go. And then the Zephyrin over here, they pick up the Legionnaires relatively convincingly. Look. I mean, was it 8 times 4, so 33 attacks with the leader. Strength 4, AP 4, damage 1 into Legionnaires. Not a good combo. Excuse me. And obviously, also, like most of his players, took the passion, so 6s to hit auto explode. So keeping it nice and simple, nice and easy. Really enjoying that combat threat and that combat saturation, but trying to mitigate that with the Mark of Slaanesh is hard. But we're doing what we can. And we're back. So sorry, just back to the end of my turn. So starting Joe's turn 3. So on my score, then I'll score 3 points on Shrine, so I'll be able to hold my objective. 2 points on Leap of Faith, and sadly not able to kill a character, but that's okay. We're doing what we can. Going to Joe's bottom of 3, so he's able to score 4 on primary. I take down his banner over here, and he just only holds this one, so that feels okay. He ends up moving the Disco Lord over here, just getting in the forest, able to get the flamethrower into the Repentia. Got the Mark of Executioners here as well, just to help deal some threats, and Celestine's lucky enough to get back up. So he also pushes the Chosen up, just to get some shooting and be able to threat, I guess, into the middle if he needs to later on in the game. And these Zephyrim are hidden behind the wall, just trying to avoid any return fire shooting. Maybe only have to deal with the Havocs shooting into them. So try and, win that trade if I can, or maybe spike a bit high. We'll see how we go. And then I think with enough CP also have the potential to interrupt if needs be. So noteworthy also the Canoness right now is also still got the fight last, but she's not currently engaged, I believe, from memory. So it'll still give off the 3-inch aura fight last and not get engaged, which feels pretty good. Joe's just doing some psychic stuff, so able to raise the Terminator back. So frustrating to deal with, but it is what it is. And just getting some of his prayers off, getting things ready. This turn, he's going to kill a bunch of stuff that's on the board, just between shooting and combat, and Abaddon being a big bad meanie. So, just kill off with the chaff what he can, and then go from there. So right now, just doing some shooting. So from the Disco Lord and the Chosen, shooting into Repentia on the middle objective. So picking them up pretty easily because, 6 up invo, 1 wound, 5 up feeling pain. Only goes so far. So, and especially on T3 bodies, but that's okay. Look, it was a trade I was willing to make into 5 Terminators, and I will do it again. So that's okay. And so then the last of the 2 Repentia just die there, but getting Miracle Dice for them dying. So happy days. So now just rolling some shots and rolling some saves for the Zephyrim. So a couple of Zephyrim died due to the Havoc shooting. That is what it is. I think also noteworthy apologies. That's later on. Yeah, so Master of... and so over here as well, the Sorcerer and Terminator army that used the Veilbreaker plate before. It was positioned right here before. Now it's just moved back over there. So just shuffling back, just going back onto this objective, staying safe, getting away from Celestine as much as possible, and, not trying to give up as much assassination points if they can be avoided. And we're back. So apologies, everyone. I had to do a bit of a skip in recording, but so Abaddon just made the charge here, so we're just into Joe's fight phase here. So Abaddon's just charging the Zephyrim up here on the top, and obviously, look, Abaddon's about to wipe some Zephyrim pretty easily. Pick him up. I mean, Abaddon just slaps a bunch of stuff. It's not much, like 6-7 Zephyrim isn't going to get in their way unless I somehow spike all the 5 infos. But just rolling some saves right now, taking all the damage. Apologies also on the top right there. My Zephyrim just also died, I think, to the characters behind the building. So there's a Sorcerer and Terminator Armour, and the Master of Possessions is there. So just going through Joe's combat, just he's rolling his attacks and, making me roll a bunch of saves, which sisters never like. Sisters don't like rolling a bunch of saves and trying to go through it. I mean, 1 wound bodies, yes, they may have a 3-up armor save, but it only lasts them so long. So volume will get you through them. And so, so Joe, obviously, we just picked up the Zephyrim there. I mean, they just died so quick. Like, I think there was no point in rolling all the dice. My attacks, so Defender fight first. So my Repentia, I believe, attacked this one times first. So it's 3 Repentia that left just there. bit hard to see on screen, but like 1, 2, and 3. And then so there's the attack there. Look, get some attacks in while we can into the Terminators and deal as much damage as possible. And before, it'll be my Repentia first. And then I'm also with the fight last Canoness in aura range. He'll be fight normal. So I think it was a Repentia I did first because of this damage, and I knew they were going to die on the swing back. Or I thought they were going to die on the swing back. So we'll see how they go there. Terminators are attacking back and doing what they can. And it turns out, after all the dice is rolled, somehow Repentia and Canoness live, which is obviously a big thing for me, because the biggest thing for that is with Joe's secondaries of behind enemy lines, I deny him getting in there, and also I'm able to still hold my objective a bit easier and stop banners and stuff like that. So yeah, Canoness lives on a single wound, which is massive. So we take those when we get them, that's for sure. And then so of the 3 Repentia there, only 2 of them die, which is amazing. So into 3 Terminators, like, look, we take those. And then I just use the miracle dice there to auto pass morale for them, just so I don't want to fail. Which I think actually fun enough now, looking back in hindsight. Obviously, the leadership 8, so even if I rolled a 6 with 2 of them dying, I would have passed. But look, use a miracle dice when you get them. If there's some crappy miracle dice, may as well try and use them. So yeah. And as we just enter in the scores. Yep, sorry, just a lag there. So just entering the score. So I just got my miracle dice for my turn. And so miracle dice for a Dogmata there. So heading into my turn 4. So now I have to think. So I got very lucky at the top here in the sense that the Canoness and Repentia lived. So it's about figuring out what I have to do here and how I have to score my points. So Joe, end of his turn, he wasn't able to score Long War, but he couldn't score behind enemy lines due to the Canoness and Repentia not denying. And I scored 3 points during his turn for using Leap of Faith dice, using Miracle dice to score Leap of Faith. And then it's my turn 4. So I score 8 on primary, score the whole 1 and whole 2, but I do not hold more. And I still hold my Defend the Shrine, which is fantastic. So, and I don't have to do really anything about it to stop it. So, because I've got OBSEC and more models there in regards to where the Terminators could be. So, in theory, on obviously my combat, unless I fall back, he will kill those. But also, notably, Black Legion have the pile-in, so the Black Templar-esque devout push in terms of they can fight and pile in and attack and stuff like that. So obviously recognizing that, and with the fight last aura, I mean, it helps a little bit, but we'll see how we go. So actually, now in hindsight, well, it doesn't really make a difference because obviously fight first versus fight last. They're fighting normal, so the defender's activating first anyway. So but at least I can hold them up a little bit and go from there. I have a sort of choice, so I've still got to score Assassination. Obviously, Abaddon here is still on full wounds with 9 wounds, and sisters have a real tough time dealing with Abaddon. Actually, fun enough, wound capped things. So one thing in addition to the list for a singles event, especially, is having some sort of prayer caster which can deal up to 3 mortal wounds to can actually deal 3 mortal wounds straight to a chaos unit with a prayer goes off, which is fantastic, and D3 mortal wounds to something else. Give sisters another opportunity to get through some of those wound capped or wound phase things. Because otherwise, right now, as it stands, I mean, yes, I could shoot potentially some bolters or get some fight phases in there. But, I mean, I'm maximum doing 6 wounds in my turn. And then I have to trust somehow I have enough things to get there in the end. And right now, Abaddon still lookout sir with the Terminators, and they're a pain to deal with. So, it's a rough go, and it's not always the easiest. But so right now, I'm just measuring distances because right now I have to figure out. Okay, I would love to kill a Disco Lord as it's right here, and I can get some measurements and stuff going. I've got this Repentia still to send, but unfortunately, it's a bit of a long charge, and I don't have the miracle dice to show it. So, and I'm just trying to figure out where I can score points and where I can still hold Defend the Shrine and still my Leap of Faith points before Joe eventually gets there, and delay him as long as I can, and try to minimize points. So Right now, my thoughts are definitely Celestine, probably, funnily enough, and she'll go actually all the way over here. So there's 2 characters behind here, and there's only 5 Havocs. The Havocs aren't going to have the best of times dealing with her, and I'm spreading Joe's resources a bit. So Celestine's there. Trying to get the 2 sorcerers and characters to deal with her isn't the easiest. And I can do some shooting attacks and damage to get there. The Retributors can shoot here, potentially to get some more damage and more stuff through. And Val can also put in the end shoot there as well. And there's the Master of Possessions right here, which I have to deal with. It would be a bit of a shame to shoot the Rets shooting into him. So I'm pretty sure in memory I send the Repentia here just to get on the objective, secure it, and deny him the points, and just have it as a fallback plan. And notably also, because the reason I wouldn't send him into the Disco Lord is because he's still got that wound phase capped to 3 damage. And so, look, my Repentance go in. Yes, I'll do 3 damage to him because Joe will activate it, but then he just kills me on the swing back. And it's a bit of a lose-lose trade where here I can help deny some primary. So as we start playing, so I'm just going through my thoughts, figuring things out, trying to figure out where I want my buffs to go. Another play that I'd love to do, but we find out, I think, later on is the waiting way of position is, unfortunately, so Disco Lord is still currently getting look at, sir. And because the Terminators are so close, they're still the closest unit, and there was no way I could move them so the Disco Lord was closer and visible. And so that was a mistake on my part. I think I really could. I think I actually, funny enough, don't move, or I don't only make small movements to make it work. And I really should have thought about that a bit more. Ask questions during the command phase to make sure I was like, yes, this is my intent to activate this, this, and this. But you make mistakes and you learn from it. So it is what it is, right? That's what 40K is all about. So just trying to figure it all out, just trying to do some pre-measuring, trying to get, if I can, because obviously, so the Disco Lord's wound phase cap thing only occurs in the fight phase, the melee phase. It doesn't occur in shooting. So if I can get my 5 Rets to deal damage to the Disco Lord there, look, I feel pretty good. Obviously, they'll be in Val range, and potentially, I believe, actually, funny enough, they're outside of Val, the full buff range, which is a bit of a shame and definitely my mistake. But if I was able to chuck them into this range of 6 inches, then get them fully shooting into a Disco Lord, that'd be fantastic. So here, as you see right there, I put the full buffs onto the Repentia here because I think I'm going to send them into the middle. Yes, it's a bit of a lost trade, but look, I get Obsec, and if I fail to kill it, I fail to kill it. And also, it gives me the chance, I guess obviously right now it's a bit of bolt of fire and return fire, but it gives me the chance to fight on death and out Obsec the Chosen and Disco Lord if they can't fight. So with my CP. So it gives it a bit of a threat because obviously Joe has some bolters and some shooting, but he doesn't have all of it. And look, so as we saw, dice can spike, right? Dice can spike. So right now, Celestine's coming over here. Joe has one character right against the wall, so the Sorcerer and Terminator armor, and there's another character there, which is the Master of Possession. So I move over here because I'm like, right, I can make the charge, and I can make the charge here into the Havocs and the Sorcerer and Terminator armor to engage both potentially. So that's my theory, and see how we go. And also with shooting and stuff like that. So worst case scenario, like with my shooting from what I believe is now the Rets and Val into the Havocs, if he removes them away, I can still go into the Sorcerer and Terminator armor and still potentially consolidate into the Havocs because he has no way to fall back and shoot and cause some issues for sure. So yeah, here we go right now. So I'm measuring. So move Val up and I'll make sure so as you can see, I'm moving the Rets right now to get within 6 inches of Val to get reroll hits and wound rolls of 1. But unfortunately, I don't move far enough from the Terminators to make it work. So look, it is what it is. You make mistakes, but that's okay. So, and also I'm just sending out this Dogmata as well. So she's going out on a bit of a mission. So right now, because I obviously see long term that these Terminators on the top here are going to eventually push my stuff in, per se. And so right now I want to know, I was like, okay, let's make sure I can get Obsec or get another body that comes up here when that moment arrives. So pushing that Dogmata over, because there's a unit of 5 Battle Sisters over here, so my turn 5, I can chuck some Obsec on the objective and help score another round of Defend the Shrine. And maybe if things work my way, maybe even secure it at the bottom of end of game. So just pushing my stuff over. Doesn't need to matter about this objective at all, anything at all. So look, we do what we can. Yeah, right now, so measuring my rets. So I realize, we realize like the Disco Lord has Lookout Sir, and so I was like, okay, in that case, I would have moved my rets to shoot into the Havocs if they have Lookout Sir. And Joe's like, yep, no worries. Like, be a good human being, be a good opponent, and discuss, this is my intent. Like, obviously a mistake on my part, for sure. I really should have discussed that from the start, but at least we're proud enough to realize when mistakes happen and go from there. So, and so shoot all the rets into the Havocs, and, well, it doesn't go as well as I hoped. So I think in the end, Joe survives all of them. So rolling my rets right now. So 3 hit, and then I think 1 wound, and he rolls 6. So there we go, boom, happy days. So that's okay. Look, it was a bit of extra shooting, and you can't always get it. So now just getting some extra shots in, I think from Val right now. I believe she'll be shooting the same Havocs, and no luck at all for me, but we are getting there. And so, yeah, here we go in the charge phase. So the Repentia roll the charge. So I gave them the +1. I believe I would have given them the +1 advance and +1 charge prayer. So that way it was a bit of a mitigated charge. And that way I was able to still use my Miracle Dice, I think, for other things. Or I wanted to save them up either way. Or actually, funnily enough, I think also helped me to get the charge from Celestine, because that was a bit of a longer charge, and I didn't want to obviously CP reroll it if I could avoid it. And also sometimes it's a good thing as a Sisters players. Like, yes, you have what your Miracle Dice is. So yeah, there you go, Celestine. So multi-charge the Havocs, and there's a Sorcerer and Terminator armor there. So sorry, realize what train of thought is. So obviously, as a Sisters player, obviously you can see your Miracle Dice sometimes here, and you know what you roughly have, and you can sort of foresee when you might get another Miracle Dice. So, for example, in that shooting phase, if I can easily predict that I'll kill a unit, then I get a Miracle Dice, or I can see a character dying, another Miracle Dice. So, and right now in the fight phase, obviously I know I'll definitely be able to kill that character with all the Repentia, or alternatively, this Canoness will die, and so that's a sacrifice Miracle Dice no matter what. So if I can get one of those, obviously you can't bank on it, you never know what the value is, but you can always generally get to use it sometimes. And so right now I've got a Miracle Dice because the last Repentia in the unit died. So, and then there's that Miracle Dice there, which is just banked just to be rolled later on for the Repentia killing this unit here. And then the Celestine over here kills a character there. So it kills the Sorcerer and Terminator armor, and I believe she consolidates, so she piles around into the Sorcerer, make her closer, and then does some shenanigans. So yeah, here we go. The 5 Havocs attacking back. And Celestine, I think, takes a couple of wounds. So yeah, she takes a wound from all that, so not too bad. And now we're in a bit of a grind. I think that in the end, Celestine with that grind into Havocs, which can't fall back and shoot and have not the greatest AP. I mean, they have maybe AP 1. No AP and just generic Legionnaire attacks. Like, they're not going to do a lot into Celestine, and I've got my 2-up saves, so feel pretty good. And I am happy to and more than willing to use Miracle Dice to make the most of it. So right now, Joe's got into his turn 4. So I had my total score 6 on Assassination as Repentia kill the Master Executioners. Val, and then Celestine kills the Sorcerer and Terminator. I score 3 on Defend the Shrine and 2 points of Leap of Faith. So Joe scores 8 on his primary, so he holds 1s and 2. And he's just going in. So he's now really pushing forward. So I set my Sacristants in also last turn just to help kill some Terminators. I noticed they were on only a couple of wounds, and so I just wanted to get some extra damage in and get maybe a bit of a fight phase activation and help limit things. So in hindsight, maybe not the best idea. I could have really kept them behind here and helped avoid maybe some of the damage, or give Abaddon and a leapfrog also. Look, it is what it is. I understand the logic I was taking, but probably in hindsight, I really could have just waited for them to hide back a bit more and then potentially even noting where my Dogmata is or where things are. Use them to get obsec and go from there, or get even more buffed up to go in for the swing. And so now Joe's really pushing forward. So I think with all the bolter fire and everything, they killed the Repentia pretty convincingly, and the flamers from the Disco Lord. So and now the Disco Lord's going into Val and about to make a going to make my life a little bit hellish. So just praying for me right now, hoping for some miracles that Disco Lord fails the charge. So there we go. So deals 3 wounds to Val after the Bale Flamer and everything. So and obviously noting Val's a vehicle, it's no bueno for me. And so, yeah. Yeah, and also Terminator is also up there. So after killing the Repentia and Canoness in combat, he makes a charge over there into the Battle Sisters with the Terminators. And I believe Abaddon made the move over there because I think, sorry, apologies. I think one of these units died in shooting phase from volume. I believe it may have been the Sacrosands. The Sacrosands may have died, or we activated Abaddon first and noted that would have killed them. One of the two, apologies. I think we'll find out here shortly. And then, yes, the Disco Lord kills Morven Val. Very, very sad. Didn't get to activate with her in combat at all. Bit of a shame, but well, it is what it is. And then right now, I think Joe's rolling his Terminator attacks. And Celestine, obviously, is still over here. Joe didn't fall back in combat over there. So we're just grinding it all out. Yeah, so there you go. The Terminators kill the Battle Sisters right there. I think I was deciding if I wanted to Miracle Die something or CP reroll something, because obviously those Battle Sisters will have Obsec, and it would be fantastic if I can keep them alive and will score another 4 on primary and defend the shrine, fundamentally. So yeah, those Battle Sisters were dead. I think we just Abaddon with a charge, and then after Pylons Consolidates killed the Sacrosands was how it was going to work out. So Joe's got the 3 Terminators there and Abaddon, and we're just rolling. So the Havocs over there. So the Havocs taking the damage from Celestine. So Celestine kills 2 of the Havocs, and then Joe's rolling his attacks back into Celestine. And I was make sure to keep at least 1 dice alive, because if worst case scenario, if Celestine needs to make a save, I'll use a 5 on the Miracle Dice or whatever's needed to pass, because Celestine living is massive. So so just making my miracle. So that's the end of Joe's turn 4. So he's able to score 4 behind enemy lines. He's got 2 units in terms of the Terminators and Abaddon, and I think also Disco Lord's behind enemy lines as well. So he's got 3 units. And then 3 on Long War for killing and stuff other objectives, and 1 point on banners because he still holds the banner over here. Actually, sorry, that's what the Havocs did. Is I believe they may have raised banners on Joe's turn, or maybe that won't be the following turn. No, he raises banners with some of them. And so here, I'm sort of thinking, okay, I need to try and get my defend the shrine back. And I'll make a mistake here based on the false premises. So I know that I can use a stratagem. It's called Angelic Sacrifice. So very similar to the Blood Angel stratagem in the sense that when a unit fights against what is now known as a Warlord or a Living Saint, which is Celestine, you can, for 1 CP, only target that character. Notably, can't be used on any Adeptus Sororitas character, which I make a mistake on with the Dogmata. So this is a mistake on my part, but notably, the concept is sound in the sense. So what I want to do is, I know I can make the charge into both Abaddon and the Terminators, and if I stay equal distance away from Terminators and Abaddon, I can pile into the Terminators and consolidate into this little section over here. So that way, Abaddon can't heroically intervene and get him in the way of my Battle Sisters. And with the strat, obviously, the Terminators can only attack them, while my Battle Sisters can move all the way up here and charge this end Terminator so that they can get onto the objective and defend the shrine without having to worry. So the concept in theory was fine, but in reality, what would have actually happened if reading the rules explains the rules, right? And it doesn't affect the outcome of the game, thankfully, but what would have probably happened is then Dogmata probably gets punched, obviously. Sorry, apologies, everyone. So right now, we jumped ahead a little bit. Sorry, there was a bit of a glitch in the video. So I've pushed my Battle Sisters out, my Apprentice Superior. Just wanted to try and wound and spike high to kill the Disco Lord here. Dogmata's moved up here, as we discussed, to try and charge, pile, and consolidate around even to there. And the 5 Battle Sisters have moved up. They've got +1 attack. They've got +1 advance, +1 charge, just to really help make the charge here and get onto the objective. And so I'm discussing with Joe what my intent is. So that way I'll charge into Abaddon, then I'll pile and consolidate. I'll charge into both and pile and consolidate around over here. And then Disco Lord. Also, I charge with the Apprentice Superior into the Disco Lord, just trying to spike high, and I whiffed badly. So Disco Lord consolidates onto the objective. And yeah. And then over here, so obviously then we've got still Stealthine duking out with the Havocs. And I believe in the end, so I'm rolling my saves. And Celestine's taken down to 1 wound. So fantastic. So Celestine gets this smack back. And she rolls pretty well from memory. And she's able to pick up all the Havocs, which is fantastic. So I'm able to then stay on the objective and then actually, fun enough, go into the center of the objective and give us 6-inch aura of a heroic intervention. So, which is really good for me. So, and it helped just deny some things and potentially push for the Master of Possession to not be able to stand on the objective, which is fantastic for me. So, yeah. So then at the end of my turn, so I'll score 1 point Leap of Faith for my turn. So I use obviously 2 Miracle Dice, 30 points for Defend the Shrine, and then nothing on Assassination, sadly, just yet. And so now Joe's got a plan. So obviously Abaddon's actually falling off free and away from combat. So what Joe does is actually plants a bomb with Abaddon. Who would have thought? So Joe plants a bomb with Abaddon, and these Terminators are then just going to stay here and smash some Battle Sisters. Then Disco Lord, I think, just shoots and kills these Battle Sisters. And Joe's trying to figure out also if he can potentially walk over here and raise the banner or do anything special over here. So, and also Joe, with the way he does it. So this is a mistake on my part in the sense of I shouldn't have pushed these Battle Sisters or Apprentice Superior out, because what it allows for Joe is now he's able to hold objectives 1, 2, and 3 comfortably. And originally he was always going to hold this one, but with the heroic intervention from Celestine that I'm threatening, and I do threaten and is he's able just to hold 1, 2, 3 comfortably without having to push. Whereas I could have really hit these Battle Sisters. It was just a long shot chance and no chance at all. If I hit the Apprentice Superior and Battle Sisters well enough in this little curve, so behind the terrain, the Disco Lord can't really get to them, and if he pushes all the way out to try and get to them and make the charge back in, because the Battle Flamer can only kill so much, I'm able to contest this objective and hopefully maybe, or even hold it potentially if enough Battle Sisters live, and hopefully then in theory then I can hold 2 and then not hold more, and then stop Joe from holding more. So that's a mistake on my part. We learn from those. So right now we're just entering the scores and calculating things. So Celestine does heroic over there and picks up the Master of Possession in the end. So pretty good for me. So then Joe, at the end of his turn, he'll score 4 points for behind enemy lines. And whoops. We come back to the end of the game, and well, Joe gets a 2-point win. So at the very end, so Joe's able to score 4 points for behind enemy lines for killing and stuff with the objective. 4 points for behind enemy lines because with the Disco Lord, Abaddon, and Terminators. 3 for Long Wall for killing stuff off objectives. And 2 for banners with a 12 on primary and 4 for bombs to give him the edge by 2 points. And I scored 1 point on... should have been 2 points on Leap, but that's fine. I scored 1 point on Leap, so to get a max of 12 for Leap of Faith. 3 points for Assassination in his turn, but lose the free gain for him taking my shrine in the game. So... in the end, very, very tough game. So I guess some learning points for me were obviously the Terminators when buffed up are near impossible to kill. Like, who would have thought? And just focus somewhere else. Like, if that something happens for a Sisters player at least, there's no way to deal with it almost. And it's similar to, in a sense, how those Tyrion Warrior bricks work, right? When they have the 5-up Invo, the 5-up Feel No Pain. Unless you can fully commit and stop the mitigation of interrupts, it's super hard. And you have to fully commit, right? And it's some, like, dice skew as well. So with 2 damage attacks going into 3 wound things, you never know what happens. So probably better if I can, like, allocate my resources differently. That's definitely something I should have done. And then, as I talked about earlier, in list design, definitely implement some way of getting mortals outside the normal ways or getting some damage outside normal ways of just the shooting and combat phase. So definitely in ways to deal with Abaddon. So talking about having a priest that can chant the prayer to deal mortal wounds in the command phase is fantastic for both Satan, Gazgul, Abaddon, all those wound phase cap things. It'll be really good to do so. So yeah, end score 61 to 63, so 71-73 with Battle Ready. Thank you everyone for watching this. Apologies for a bunch of the skips and the technical difficulties. Definitely learning this along the way. And if you have any advice for myself or anyone else who's doing these bit reps, please leave them in the comment section down below. Until next time, have a good one.